If you are looking to get some more knowledge about vertical farming and are interested in vertical farming in general, optimizing plant growth, then this video might be for you. Because what we have done here is we have taken 5 different approaches to the lights and to the same plants under different types of lights. So as you can see here, we have our Indo Vertilink light here. All of these trays have the same amount of seeds. We have 1 light of Vertilink, then we have 2 lights of Vertilink. What is the difference in weight? That's very exciting to see. Then we have our professional lights here. We have some lights from a Danish vertical farm that went bankrupt that we kind of bought. So these lights we are testing to see what the difference is. We are only testing peas down here, but we are testing with 3 LED bars, 2 LED bars and 1 LED bar. 2 LED bars. So let's see how this goes. The idea now is that they have been growing the exact same time, and we will cut them up and we will cut the radish up, all of them, and see what's the difference in yield and what's the difference in the amount of wattage that we put into growing these plants. So follow along. All right, in front of me we have the different tests that we've been doing in our testing laboratory with different lights. We have the Indo lights, 1 Indo light, 2 Indo lights. We have the Paris Europe 40 watt lights. They are 20 watts each, by the way, not 40 watts, but 40 watts in total. Then we have our second-hand lights that are 30 watts, and then 2 of our second-hand lights that are 30 watts. So we have been growing these the same time, the same amount of seeds. Now we're gonna start cutting them up and we're gonna see what is the yield, because it's the exact same amount of seeds. And yeah, let's see how they react to different types of light in the same climate. Indo, 1 light. By the way, when you're working with soil, if you are going to use soil inside your grow space, in your trays, please be careful if you have an open cut or an open wound. If you get a cut here and you get soil bacteria in your finger, that bacteria can travel all the way up through your arm into your heart and you can die from that. If you don't catch it in the good time, you might lose your arm as well. So bacteria and blood is not a good combination. Just be careful. I'm trying to get as little amount of roots and grow medium with this as possible. All right, 195 grams. And this one looks much prettier. It's also a bit easier to harvest actually when they are much stronger. They don't fall down the same way like the other ones did with too little light actually. Same amount of seeds, same climate, double the light, 285 grams. Okay, here we have the Paris. So this I used 40 watts. This is the Paris Europe lights. They are from the Netherlands. 303 grams. It's pretty good, right? Right, here we have our second-hand lights. Let's see how they do. Wow, 390. That is insane. Maybe we should start actually working with these lights. That could be very interesting because we got 380 grams. As you can see here now, our 1 Indo light gave 200 grams with 30 watts. Our 2 Indo lights gave 285 grams with 58 watts. Our Paris Europe gave 300 grams, 40 watts. Our second-hand lights, this is what I'm very, very surprised over. 30 watts, we got 390 grams. But when we use 2 second-hand lights and use 60 watts, we only got 320 grams. So this is a testament to that the different amounts of light, the different spectrums, the different wattages can mean a lot of difference. So I did an extra test here under the Indo light because I wanted to see how about if we give it a few days more, like 2.5 days more under the same light, how are we gonna measure up with the yield? So even though we are not yielding the same, I still believe that it's a great light. It just needs to have a day or two more under the light, because if you think about it, having a light that is reliable is very important in this. So I would rather have a light that's really reliable, and maybe I would have to grow under it one day more than have a light that is unreliable, that I can't rely on, that will break after a few years. There's 5 years of warranty on these lights, so this is awesome. Love it. Quality is just so stable. As you can see here, we gave this tray 2.5 days more. So it's the same amount of seeds, and now we are gonna measure up how is the weight measuring up. And I realized that I made a mistake, because I didn't think about over here we have the reflection in the walls. So here we are losing a lot of light because it's just going out. Over here we are getting the reflection into the wall and back into the tray again. This we have to test as well. So now I'm gonna take the Indo light from here, I'm gonna install it in the tent, and then we're gonna do another test just to see if there's a difference between how the light is reacting on the walls. I think that's gonna be a big difference. As you can see here, we hit 350 grams. And that means that, yeah, even though that the light did not produce the same result as the lights in the tent, I still think there's a good opportunity and chance that we actually are gonna get the same results if we have the reflection of the walls. 2.5 days later, we still get great results under one light of Indo. And as I mentioned before, having a light that's very stable in the quality, that lasts a long time, that's worth a lot to you and your production. So that's one less headache to think about inside your vertical farm. You have enough headaches in there, so don't give yourself too many. Today we are doing and harvesting the last tests. Here we started our test on the Indo light with the same amount of seeds as the other test of radish. And here we have our T8 light. This is 33 watts per light, and this is 29 watts per light. And the Indo is definitely in a high quality. They don't get hot. They transmit heat in a way that it doesn't damage the chip. Last time we did a test, we did the test without the reflection on the sides, so just on a Danish trolley. And now we have put the light in here to show how big the difference of the reflection of the sides of the tent is. So I discussed with Lawrence from Indo Light that yes, of course, the test would be completely optimal if we had chosen to close off the tent and there would be no light pollution from the other sides of the systems. I agree on that. However, we still are gonna get a pretty good indicator of how efficient the light is when we do it this way. So let's see what the weight says. Last time this was 195 grams on one 1020 tray. So let's see what the difference is today. Okay, so here we are with the final test. And this is the two final tests we did in the grow tent with the Indo light, one Indo light per layer, and our own T8 33 watt LED lights that has far red integrated in them as well. So our Indo light did much better. Last time it was 200 grams. The sprouting rate was not optimal either. We should have added some weight on top of it. All in all, this was much better yielding. And then we have our own T8 33 watt lights. Both of these were grown in a tent where the reflective sheeting reflected back. And as you can see here, we got 400 grams of cut radish on our T8. And we got 350 grams cut green radish on our Indo light. So this is the final test. The winners will probably be our T8 for affordability and our Indo light for long-term quality when you are a non-commercial grower. This is the result. So if you are going for long-term sustainable quality, then I would recommend the Indo light if you are a non-commercial grower. If you are going for the pricing, the best in price, then I would definitely say that our T8 is the way to go. All in all, I would say our indoor light won because they provided a great result under radish, but they also provided the best result for the peas that we were growing. Okay, so here we can see we are growing peas here with the indoor light. There's one light here. This is the 2 lights per row. This is the Paris 2 lights per row. Here we have our passive light. So this was standing on the bottom shelf. There was no light. Then we used a 30-watt light. Then we used 2 30-watt lights. And then we used 3 30-watt lights. So you can see we are getting much more density in the peas as we are using more wattage and more energy. Now we are going to harvest them and we will see what will the yield be. For example, these ones, they have gotten the passive light on the bottom shelf. They are looking like the others, but they're more thin, so they won't last as long in general because that they have like thin crust, so they will deteriorate a bit quicker than the others. But you can clearly see there's a color difference as well in it. And let's just go from the top here. I'm gonna harvest these now and then we will see what is the yield on these trays. 450 grams with 1 Indo light under a Danish trolley. 300 grams of peas under 2 Indo light under a Danish trolley. In the grow tent, we have Paris with 2 lights. Then we are getting 485 grams. Then we have the passive light on the bottom shelf. Here we got 360 grams. Then we have the 30-watt lights. We got 350 grams on each. Then we are using 2 of these, and this gives us 440 grams of peas. And then the final test is 90-watt 3 lights of 30 watts. We get 375 grams. So as you can see clearly here, it's not about the amount of wattage, and it's also very important about what spectrum the peas likes in general. And I would say here that this test is won by Indo with 1 light, simply because of the affordability of the Indo light. Besides this, Indo and Paris are using 2 lights and Indo is only using 1 light to achieve almost the same result. So I would say Indo will be the winner of this test, Paris number 2, and then the passive light on the bottom shelf number 3. If you want to learn more about lights, if you want to learn more about how to become better at understanding why this happens, then go to the school community. In the description, we have prepared everything you need to know so you can become the best indoor gardener in your neighborhood and be able to supply your friends and your family with awesome microgreens. You will learn how to grow some edible flowers, how NFT systems work, how hydroponics work, how to grow some peppers in a tent, how to grow plants in tents in general for optimized yields. It will be primarily focused on just fun of indoor farming. If you want to go commercially, we have our mentorship models. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you learned something. I hope this gave you a clear idea about light is actually an important part of the farm. So this is just to take into account when you are going to grow and are going to have different types of lights, what you want. In the end, it's the spectrum of the lights that's determining a lot about how this is gonna play out. If there is a lot of yellow and green in your light, then it's not as efficient as it would be if there's less amounts of this. Okay, let me ask you another question. What color is that? You would probably say that it's green. It's actually everything else than green because we just, with our eyes, see green. But that's because it's the only thing that it's not, and that's reflecting back in our eyes. So that's the only thing that is reflecting of the light back into our eyes. I think this is very interesting, and I think we will try to see if we can start selling these lights because yeah, why not? That would be interesting. when they provide these yields, then I think it's definitely interesting to look into. Hope you got smarter today in regards to urban farming, in regards to controlled environmental agriculture and some vertical farming. Nice to see you. I will see you in the next video.